Choose the odd one out. Smart pick. Thick layer chromatography is the correct choice. What is the passage mainly about? Correct. Paper chromatography is the right answer. Ink can be separated by a method of dash. Right again. Chromatography is a valid answer. The paper used for paper chromatography is right choice. Whatman No 1 is the best answer. What is an example of paper chromatography? On track. Food testing is the correct answer. What would be the best title for this passage? Well done. Chromatography is the right choice. What is the key term used to describe the paper? Nice work. You chose stationary phase, and it is correct. What is the mobile phase in paper chromatography? Correct response. The pencil line is the most accurate answer. Name one factor that affects paper chromatography. You got it. Your choice solubility is right. What are the applications of paper chromatography? Good thinking, separating and analyzing mixtures is the right answer. Paper chromatography, which one corresponds to English? Solid response. Paper chromatography is a valid choice. Which is the correct method to separate colored dyes? You're right. Chromatography is the correct answer. What is the main principle behind paper chromatography? A. Valid point. Nuclear reactions is true. The output of a chromatography procedure is known as a... Nicely done. Chromatogram is a solid answer. Which type of chromatography is discussed in the video? Great job. Paper chromatography is the accurate answer. Which type of chromatography is used to separate dyes in ink? Exactly. Paper chromatography makes sense and it is right choice. What is the pattern of spots left on the filter paper called? Well picked. Chromatogram is the correct answer. What do different colored strips at different heights indicate? Bravo. The dyes get separated is the answer. By which property does paper chromatography separate substances? You chose polarity, and it is correct. Which type of filter paper are mostly used in paper chromatography? Excellent choice. Whatman filter paper is the right answer. Which of the following mixtures are separated by chromatography? Strong choice. All the above is the right answer. What is the technique used to separate two or more dissolved solids? Nice selection. Chromatography is the correct and valid answer. The physical separation of mixtures into individual components is dash. Perfect. Chromatography is the correct choice. What molecules move up the paper to carry the different colors of ink? Sharp thinking. Water is the right choice. The color pattern on the paper in paper chromatography is called dash. Smart move. Chromatogram is an accurate answer. Chromatography separates the mixture of dyes on the basis of their dash. Clear logic. Your choice solubility is sound and 100% true. Chromatography is a physical method that is used to separate and analyze. Good job. Your answer complex mixtures works well here. In chromatography, the stationary phase can be dash, supported on a solid. Well reasoned. Solid or liquid is the correct choice. In chromatography, which of the following can the mobile phase be made of? Great thinking. Liquid or gas is the right choice. What is this? An impression or mark made on a surface by a person's fingertip? Excellent. Fingerprint is a brilliant choice. Chromatography works if all the substances in the mixture dash in one solvent. Well reasoned. Dissolve is the correct choice. Mobile phase used for separation of Co2 plus Na2 plus ions by paper chromatography. Well picked. Astone. Water HCl is the correct answer. Chromatography depends upon the different dash of the substances in a solvent. Correct. Solubility is the right answer. The more polar the compound, the more likely it will travel dash on the paper. Great thinking. Slower and lower is the right choice. Two or more substances that are mixed together but not chemically combined is a dash. Sharp thinking. Mixture is the right choice. What is this? Is an analytical method used to separate colored chemicals or substances. You chose paper chromatography, and it is correct. What is the technical terminology used to refer to the filter paper in paper chromatography? Exactly. Stationary phase makes sense, and it is right choice. Which reagent is commonly used to visualize the separated amino acids on the chromatography paper? Solid response. Non-hydrin is a valid choice. A technique for separating the components of a mixture using a mobile phase and a stationary phase. Valid point. Chromatography is true. What is the appropriate distance to mark the origin line from the bottom of the chromatography paper? Or clear logic. Your choice 1 cm is sound and 100% true. What is the nature of stationary phase used for separation of Co2 plus and Na2 plus ions by paper chromatography? You got it. Your choice liquid is right. The pattern formed on the chromatography by the layers of components, separated by chromatography, is called. Excellent choice. Chromatogram is the right answer. What is this? On track. Fingerprints is the correct answer. What is the appropriate solvent to use in ascending paper chromatography for separating and identifying amino acids? Nice work. You chose butanol acetic acid water, and it is correct. Which technique is commonly used in biochemistry to separate and identify different types of molecules, including amino acids? Good thinking. Paper chromatography is the right answer. Ink can be separated by a method of dash. Smart move. Chromatography is an accurate answer. This setup is part of the technique known as. Excellent. Chromatography is a brilliant choice. How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format? You're right. Contact Narayan Changder is the correct answer.